Okay, so AI. It's kind of everywhere, right? Not just like, buzzwords anymore. It's actually happening. But instead of getting lost in the hype, we're going to go deep, like really deep into what's going on with AI adoption, especially in business.
And to get that deep dive, we're turning to some solid data. The McKinsey Global Survey on AI. This is based on over 1,300 companies around the world.
Wow, so it's a pretty broad picture then.
Yeah, it gives us a snapshot of like early 2024.
Yeah.
Which is important because things are moving so fast in AI.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of moving fast, this report shows just how much AI adoption has, skyrocketed. For years, it was kind of stuck around 50%, but now
It's jumped to 72%.
72%. That's huge.
Yeah, and it's not just like Silicon Valley anymore. It's every industry, every sector is getting in on the action.
Which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. And
Right.
what I found even more interesting was the growth of, generative AI specifically. That
Yeah.
seems to be where the real buzz is.
Right, and it's important to make that distinction because we're not just talking about any AI, we're talking about the kind that can, create new content.
Yeah,
Think ChatGPT writing text or Dell-E making images from, just descriptions.
exactly. And the survey found 65% of companies are already using generative AI in at least one function. That's almost double what it was just 10 months ago.
Yeah, that's crazy fast adoption. Way faster than most technologies see.
For sure. So where are we seeing it having the biggest impact right now? What are the hotspots?
Well, the top two are marketing and sales and then product development.
Which, it makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah, AI can personalize campaigns, create content, even help brainstorm new product ideas, all that stuff.
Totally. But it's not limited to those areas, is it?
Nope, even functions like HR, supply chain, IT, they're all starting to implement generative AI solutions.
So basically, even if someone listening is using these tools directly, their company, their competitors, probably even their clients are.
It's kind of unavoidable at this point. And that's why it's so important to understand how it's being used, even if you're not, hands-on with it.
Okay, so it's everywhere. But the question is it actually delivering? Are companies seeing real results from using AI?
That's the big question, right? And the survey says, yeah, they are. Companies are reporting both cost reductions and revenue increases from AI.
Okay, so it's not just, theoretical. There are real-world benefits. Can you give us some examples from the report? What does that actually look like in practice?
So, for instance, in HR, you've got AI automating tasks like candidate screening or onboarding. That saves time and money.
Makes sense.
And then on the revenue side, supply chains are seeing big benefits. AI can optimize logistics, forecast demand, even manage inventory. All that leads to more efficiency in sales.
Okay, so some pretty tangible stuff.
Yeah.
But, got to ask, what about the downsides? We hear a lot about the risks of AI. What does the report say about that?
Yeah, it's not all sunshine and roses, for sure. The report lays out three main risk categories: data risks, model risks, and then misuse or security risks.
Okay, break those down for us a little bit.
All right, so data risks. That includes things like privacy breaches, using biased data, and worries about intellectual property theft.
Right, so the stuff that feeds the AI can be problematic.
Exactly. Then you got model risk. This is more about the AI itself. It could be inaccurate, or maybe we don't understand why it's making certain decisions, which can be a problem.
Oh.
And then there's the whole misuse thing. That can be intentional, for malicious purposes, or just accidental because of a lack of proper controls.
Okay, so some serious concerns there. Out of all those risks, which one did companies say they actually ran into the most?
The number one concern, both last year and this year, is inaccuracy. Seems to be the most common problem people reported.
Interesting. So what does that look like in the real world? Why is this happening?
Well, AI, especially generative AI, can kind of hallucinate sometimes. Basically, make things up, present false info as fact, or even give biased outputs if it's not trained on the right data.
So it's not malicious. It's
It's
just
how these tools learn. Yeah.
right. But still, kind of unsettling.
Right.
So how are companies dealing with that risk then?
It's a big focus. A lot of companies are putting a lot of energy into data governance, making sure the data used to train the AI is accurate, unbiased, and representative of the real world.
Right.
And they're also really focused on model explainability.
Explainability.
Yeah. It's not enough for AI to just spit out an answer. We got to understand why it came up with that answer, especially in fields like healthcare or finance where the stakes are high.
Oh, for sure. So it's all about finding the right balance between human oversight and AI capabilities.
Absolutely. We can't just let AI run wild. It's about using it effectively, but with human intelligence guiding and monitoring the process, making sure things stay on track.
Now, I'm curious, is everyone using AI in the same way? There must be different levels of, like, sophistication.
Oh, totally. The report actually identifies three archetypes for AI implementation: takers, shapers, and makers.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Tell us more about these different approaches. What makes each one distinct?
So most companies, especially if they're new to AI, fall into the taker category. They're using pre-built tools like chatbots on websites or basic marketing automation, just dipping their toes in.
Got it. So what about shapers then? How are they approaching it?
Shapers take those off-the-shelf tools and customize them. They're integrating them with their own data and systems, really tailoring them to their needs.
Okay, so they're taking those basic tools and like making them their own. And what about the makers? Are they building something totally from scratch?
You got it. They're building their own AI from the ground up. This is the most complex and resource-intensive approach, but it gives them max control and flexibility. We see makers mainly in industries like energy or tech, where the problems they're trying to solve are super specialized.
It's fascinating to see that range. Really shows how companies are adapting to this new AI landscape. But out of all these companies, I'm really intrigued by the ones who are knocking it out of the park. The report mentioned high performers who are already generating significant profits from AI. What makes them different?
High performers stand out in a few key ways. First, they're not just using AI in one or two areas. They've woven it across their whole business. And they're more likely to be shapers or makers, showing a deeper level of engagement with the tech.
So they're not just using it, they're mastering it. But here's what I find interesting. The report also says these high performers are experiencing more of the risks we talked about earlier. How does that work?
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive, but it makes sense when you think about it. The more you push the boundaries with AI, the more likely you are to run into those, unexpected outcomes. The difference is high performers are way better at mitigating those risks. They're proactive, they've built robust systems, and they're always learning and adapting.
So it's not about avoiding risk, it's about being prepared to handle it.
Exactly. And that's a big takeaway for anyone listening. Even if you're not a tech whiz, understanding these trends can help you ask the right questions within your own company. Are we embracing AI the right way? Do we know the risks and the opportunities? Are we ready to deal with both?
It's all about being informed and making smart decisions. You can't just pretend AI isn't happening. It's here, and we got to be ready.
You got it. The question isn't if AI will be a part of the future, but how we're gonna harness its power responsibly and make it work for us. Before we go any further, I think it's worth pointing out that these categories, taker, shaper, maker, they're not always so clear-cut. There can be some overlap, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's more of a spectrum than like rigid boxes, right?
Yeah.
Companies probably don't fit neatly into just one.
Exactly. A company might start as a taker, maybe using a simple chatbot like for customer service on their website.
Yeah.
But then as they use it more, they realize, hey, we need to tweak this thing, to better reflect their brand or answer specific questions. That's when they start shifting into shaper territory.
So they're taking that basic tool and making it their own. What would that kind of customization look like? Give us an example.
Well, it could be anything from changing the language the chatbot uses to make it sound more, like their company, or maybe integrating it with their internal knowledge base.
So it can pull from their own information.
Yeah, or even training it on recordings of their best customer service agents to make it sound more human and natural.
That's pretty clever.
It is. And we see some really innovative stuff happening with this kind of personalization, like marketing teams using generative AI to create tons of different ad variations. Instead of one ad for everybody, they're using AI to generate hundreds, each tailored to a specific group.
So it's like having a whole ad agency working behind the scenes, custom making messages for every single customer.
Pretty much. And the data shows that this kind of hyper-personalization is super effective. Companies using AI for this are seeing big jumps in click-through rates and conversions.
Makes sense. The more relevant the ad, the more likely someone is to click, right? As you wonder what other creative ways people are using generative AI for marketing.
Oh, tons of ways. We're seeing it used to generate product descriptions, write social media posts, even video scripts. It's a content creation powerhouse.
Okay, so lots of potential there, but let's circle back to those risks for a minute. We talked about inaccuracy being a major concern. What specific steps are companies taking to deal with that?
One of the biggest things is data governance. They're making sure the data used to train these AI models is accurate, unbiased, and, reflects the real world. They're also being careful about data privacy and security, especially with sensitive information.
So it's not just about the AI itself, but about what it's built on. Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Exactly. And then there's model explainability. Remember, it's not enough for AI to just give an answer. We need to understand how it got there. Why did it make that recommendation? What factors did it consider? Especially important in fields like healthcare or finance, where the stakes are high.
It's about building trust.
Right.
If you can't understand how the AI is making decisions, it's hard to trust it.
For sure. And that's where human oversight is still so important. We can't just hand over everything to black boxes. It's got to be a partnership.
Yeah, finding that balance. Using AI to help us, not replace us.
Right. The companies that are really winning with AI, they see it as a tool to empower their workforce, not eliminate it. They're using AI to automate the boring, repetitive stuff so their employees can focus on more creative, strategic work.
Working smarter, not harder. Let the AI handle the grunt work, free up humans for the stuff we're good at.
Exactly. But this requires a shift in thinking, both for companies and for individual workers. We need to be willing to keep learning, upskilling, and adapting to this new world.
Adaptability is key. It's not about fearing AI. It's about, using it to level up, make ourselves even more valuable.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And I think this McKinsey report does a really good job of highlighting not just the technical stuff, but also, the bigger picture, how AI is going to impact business, workers, society.
It's like a roadmap, right, for navigating the future of work in a world where AI is everywhere.
Totally. And one of the key takeaways for me is we're just getting started. We've only scratched the surface of what AI can do. The next few years are going to be wild.
Yeah, lots to look forward to. But before we get too carried away with the possibilities, let's take a moment to hear from our sponsor.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about how AI is being used right now, but what about the future? Where's all this headed? Anything interesting in the McKinsey report about that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. One of the big takeaways is AI isn't just some, passing fad. It's fundamentally changing the way businesses work.
For good.
Yeah.
It's here to stay. Yeah, I think so. And the report basically says the companies that'll win in the future, it's not going to be the ones with the most data. It's going to be the ones who know how to use their data the smartest.
So it's not just about having mountains of data. It's about strategy.
Exactly. And that strategy has to be multi-layered. It's about collecting the right data, cleaning it up, getting it ready to use, and then picking the right AI tools for the job.
Right. The right tool for the right job. Always important.
Totally. But maybe even more important is having the people who can actually make sense of the insights those tools give you, the talent, the expertise.
So it's the data is the fuel, the people are the engine.
That's a great way to put it. And that's why there's such a huge demand for data scientists, AI engineers, people with the skills to handle all this. The report emphasizes how important it is to invest in developing those skills for companies and for society as a whole.
So anyone listening who's thinking about their career, AI seems like a pretty good bet.
It's definitely booming. Lots of opportunity there. But even if you're not going to become a data scientist, just understanding the basics of AI is becoming crucial for everyone, no matter what you do.
Yeah, how pretty much everybody needs to know how to use a computer now.
Yeah.
AI is becoming that fundamental.
Exactly. It's not about being able to code necessarily or build your own AI. It's about understanding how these tools work, what they can and can't do, and how to use them to solve problems, make better decisions.
So AI literacy, becoming fluent in the language of the future.
I like that. And the cool thing is there's tons of ways to learn about this stuff. Online courses, boot camps, even just keeping up with what's happening by listening to podcasts like this.
Well, we appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully we've given you some things to think about.
Yeah, this stuff is complex and it's changing all the time.
For sure. And I think one of the biggest takeaways for me is this is just the beginning. We're still in the early days of AI.
Absolutely. We've only scratched the surface of what's possible.
It's kind of exciting and a little scary at the same time, right?
Right.
We're on the edge of something huge.
Definitely. But I think if we approach it the right way, with a sense of responsibility and a focus on humans and machines working together, we can make some really amazing things happen.
Well said. And speaking of making amazing things happen with AI, before we wrap up, if you're looking to take your business to the next level, check out Aurora AI.
Oh, yeah, Aurora AI. They're doing some really cool stuff.
They offer AI-powered calling agents that can qualify leads, book appointments, follow up with clients, even handle customer support 24/7, no breaks.
It's like having a whole team of virtual assistants working around the clock.
Exactly. Imagine your AI is out there growing your business while you focus on the stuff that really matters.
That's the power of AI, right? Freeing us up to do what we do best.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration of the world around us.